where the shit is, but we can try finding our way to climb out of it.
We can, but who are we? When you're saying we have hope, we this, we that.
As in, like, humanity as a whole. But, you know, I can't speak for everyone here.
Yeah. What about masking, do we? Like, I look around, and what's that?
What if we are the shit, you know?
You mean like with shit, or you mean like we're the shit, man?
No, we're shit, bro.
The second one or the first one?
The second one.
Well, so I look at, okay, good example. People will complain about Sweetwater, and they'll be like, man, Sweetwater sucks. Well, what is Sweetwater? So is he talking about our buildings? Our buildings suck? Well, what is it about then? And first off, yeah, the whole idea that we walk around anywhere and say, wherever I am sucks. Okay, fine. Then wherever you are, it should be really easy to make things better then. Because if you're already in the trash, then it should be really easy to make things better. Shouldn't it?
Yep.
I mean, if you're already at a place that's top-notch, how do you make that better? I wonder if anybody here wants to go to Harvard and your idea is, I want to make Harvard better. Really? How do you do that? You can't. So if you're already down here, then it should be easy to make things better. And yet we don't. We just make complaints about things. We complain about where we are. But again, what is the school? It's not the buildings, man. We have a brand new building over there. I tell you guys the experience we had when they first opened that building, 2 weeks into it. We had a meeting over there. Can I tell you about that? Yeah, we had a meeting. Brand new building. Well, how much was it? Like, a $40 million building, I think it was? $40 million? And I mean, it's all tech. The superintendent was all about building a world-class facility for a world-class education. The people of National City actually voted to increase their own taxes to help pay for a bond so that we could have this brand new building for our children. Because remember, you guys are the future. So we have to invest in the future because we deserve it. And then 2 weeks into it, we're going up to the top floor because we have an English department meeting, and we're walking up the stairs, and I was like, why does this building smell like shit? And we get to the top floor, we make a left to go into the department chairs, and somebody has taken a shit in the hallway, and they've also smeared it across the walls. Brand new building. $40 million to this building. Someone takes a dump there and smears it all over the walls. My immediate thought was, how did you smear that on the wall? Because you had to handle it, right? You had to get down there and pick it up and, ape style. Yeah, I wasn't so concerned about the thing in the hallway. I know how that happens on the floor, but somebody had to be real committed to this. And this was after school, which means that there was a window when classes let out, and then when the meeting starts 10 minutes later, that somebody had to have timed this just right. They must have been holding on for something. Plus, you had to be relatively confident that you could finish it. And some of you right now are grossed out, and that's good, because you should be. Because someone does that, and of course, nobody saw it, right? No one has any idea this happened. People saw it. Someone has to have seen something. But we're not going to say anything about it. Why? Because we don't snitch. Okay, but then don't be surprised when you live in the gutter. Don't be surprised when you live in the shit. Because that's the thing that we create for ourselves. And if it would have been a very easy thing to have cleaned up. Oh shit, it would have been a very easy thing to have said, this person here did it. Do you really want that person around? Because if that person's going to do that, what else do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to respect anything that you have? Do you think they're going to respect any individual person? But we'll insist on protecting a person like that. The person who's dragging the rest of us down, we'll insist on protecting that person. And then if someone comes along and says, nah, that person's making the rest of us worse, it was that person right there. Now we yell at them, we criticize them. We call them a snitch, and we threaten them for the crime of trying to make things better for people. And then, of course, that means that good people can't really exist there because they're in danger all the time. So what do good people do? They leave. They go elsewhere. And I'm not just saying here. I'm saying generally in life. And then what's left? Only the people who are protecting the bad people. And then we sit there and go, why are things so messed up? Doing the right thing is relatively simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but we kind of know what it is. I don't have to come in here and wag my finger at you guys and say, do this, do that. You already know what you should be doing. And there's a good chance that you know better than I do what it is that you should be doing, because you know the nuances of your own individual life. And you can look at your life, and you can think to yourself, how can I make this life better? And you can find those things. You already know what they are. doing them is something else. And we can think about why it is that doing it is something else. Maybe it's because we have people around us who would pull us down and criticize us if we tried doing the right thing. Maybe because we look at it and we say, it's just technically a difficult thing to do. Like, maybe if we realize that we should be getting more exercise, being able to do the technical work of waking yourself up early and going out and doing it and motivating yourself, that might be the hard thing. I wonder how many of you have family members that, I don't know what time you wake up. Let's say you wake up at, what time do you guys usually wake up?
7:30.
7:50.
5:30.
5:30. Jeez. Any of you guys cross over and you wake up like at 4 or 3 in the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have students who do that. I look at those folks and I'm just like, God damn, that's awesome. Because it sucks right now. Believe me, it sucks right now. I'm sorry, believe me, what the hell do I know? I will believe you that it sucks right now to be doing that. But believe me about the part where I say that a few years from now you're developing a resilience and a persistence and a hardness to difficulty. That people who are waking up right now at 8 o'clock and are barely making it, not making it at all, and then stumbling in and not quite ready, and you've been up for literally 5 hours by this point, 4 hours at this point, you're developing a hardness and a resilience that when you find yourself in difficult situations in life, you're going to be so much stronger than the people who had it easy. And still, despite having it easy, still manage to screw it up and barely get here or not quite be ready or whatever. And again, it's a hard time right now, but keep your eyes focused on the stars. Because do you have a choice about going through that hard time right now? No, not really. You don't. You're going to go through the hard time. They're going to drag you out of bed. They're going to make you come here. So you have a choice. You can either get out of bed willingly, or you can get out of bed kicking and screaming. Either way, you're getting out of bed. So maybe if you begin with the positive sense of this is a hardship, this is a difficulty, but it's one that I have to face. Not one I want to face, but you can still face things that you don't want to face willingly. I'll say it again. You can still face the things that you don't want to face willingly. You can wake up in the morning and go, my bed is so comfortable. That's true. Is the meaning of your life in a bed?
No.
No. Because if it was, you'd have found it by now. Most of us. We spend so much time there that we couldn't help but roll over on top of it at some point. The purpose of your life is not in your bed. The comfort of your life is in your bed. But that should tell you something. That the comfort of your life and the meaning of your life are two completely different things. So I guess the question becomes for all of us, which would we rather have? The comfort or the meaning? The comfort or the purpose? Now, I don't want to give time for an answer, because a lot of us will just kind of, out of a knee-jerk, just say, meaning, purpose. And I would, cynical me would respond immediately with bullshit. Because if we did, we would live very differently from the ways in which we do. There are people who do pursue meaning and purpose, and they forsake comfort. And largely we know who they are because they're the very, very successful people of life. I talk with people and they'll say, I just want to have like a bunch of money and worry about nothing. You're just going to have a different set of worries. But you look at the people who really have the money and how they got it. One guy I always think back to is Jack Dorsey. Anybody know who Jack Dorsey is? He was one of the founders of Twitter, and he was the CEO until a few months ago. I'm trying to remember how far it is. I believe it was like I think he lived 5 miles from work. And this is a guy, by the way, who's worth billions. He would wake up in the morning, and he would take a shower, and he'd walk to work. And while he was walking, that's when he would respond to emails and stuff like that on his phone. And then when he got to work, he would only eat once a day. He would eat chicken and vegetables, same thing every day, same time every day. And then on the weekends, he would fast. And he didn't drive to work or anything like that. He always walked. And he's a guy who he takes ice baths, if you know what those are. He takes cold showers, because these are all things that he understands about himself, that he's in a position where life could be so materially easy for him. But that if he allows himself to fall into material ease, that leads to a spiritual difficulty for most people. And I don't necessarily mean a religious difficulty. I'm saying that there's an existential thing that overtakes us where... How many of you guys have seen Scarface? You seen the movie Scarface? If you haven't, you should. There's this great scene at the end, especially if you understand the struggles he's gone through. He's essentially a guy who emigrates from Cuba and starts selling drugs, and he takes over a drug empire. But at the very end, he's sitting in this restaurant. He has his best friend with him. He has his wife with him, and it was a woman he wanted, and he ended up killing his boss and marrying her. And he's in a tuxedo in a really expensive restaurant. He's smoking a cigar. He's got his arms on the booth. He's kind of looking around, and there's music playing. Everybody in there is really wealthy. And he shakes his head, and he just kind of goes, "Is this it? This is what it's all about?" It didn't have the meaning and the purpose of what he thought it was going to be. He didn't have he had the material ease, of course, but he didn't have the existential or the spiritual comfort that he was seeking. He didn't have the meaning and the purpose. And so, forsaking that material stuff is very difficult. And by the way, it sounds funny, but it's even harder when you have when you don't have a bunch of it, because it becomes the thing that we try to pursue. We think, you know what? My life would have meaning and purpose if only I had more money. Don't bother me, dude. Go find something to do. If only I had more money. If only I had a bigger house. If only I had the things that I'm lacking. And yet the actual physical things that we're lacking are not the things that we actually are lacking. If you want money, how do you get more money? Well, you just go work more. It's a mathematical problem. You get a certain number of dollars every hour, you go put more hours into it, you get more money, fine. But at the end of it, no matter how much you get, there's still a second part of you, because you have a dual nature. Yes, you're physical. You do need those things taken care of. And somehow, crying about the meaninglessness of your life is far more comfortable from the heated seats of a Mercedes than on a bus. We could probably agree on that. There is something that's nicer about sitting in the Mercedes than there is about sitting on the bus. But there's also a second part of it. You can call it spirit, you can call it mind, whatever it is, but there are these two parts of you, the mind and the body. And if you only attend to one of those, then you're only attending to half of who you are. And so what's going to happen, of course, you're going to be half of a person, you're going to feel like half of a person. If you can attend to both at the same time. And that doesn't mean that you have to have the best of everything in both sides. It just means that you have to be balanced out. Not too much in one direction, not too much in the other, not listing back and forth like a yacht, if we would call, but to be balanced and well. And so this is one of the things, we can be in the gutter and going through some difficulties, but those stars are something else, man. Stars are something else. We can think of the stars as the kinds of things that we wish upon. And of course, why do we wish upon stars? Where are the stars? In the sky, up above. And how far are they?
Millions of miles away.
Yeah, they're a long ways away. So there's something that we can look at that we can envision maybe someday attaining. Although in the back of our minds we realize it probably is an impossibility to get there, but you know what? We shoot for it anyway. Because, well, what's better, to dream of where we are or to dream of where we could be? But to dream of where we could be, we first have to envision where we are and understand how to remove ourselves from that situation. And very importantly, the second part, you have to believe that it's possible to get to that star. And it's not that it's likely, not that you're probably going to, but you just have to believe it's a possibility. And what are the chances you're going to reach the stars? 1 in 100 million. So there's a chance. You know? Like I was talking, I don't remember if it was in this class, but we were talking about football teams, NFL teams. And there are 32 football teams, which means that, let's say that right now you play football here, and you're a quarterback. And you're saying, someday I'm going to play professional, I'm going to play for the NFL, I'm going to be a quarterback in the NFL. Dude, there's only 32 of those jobs available. For tens of thousands of people who want that job, there's only 32 available. I guess 64 if you're okay with being a backup quarterback. But that is not a lot, man. We have twice as many teachers here as there are quarterbacks in the NFL. And think about how many schools there are in this country. And getting a job as a teacher is not easy to do. It's difficult to do. As hard as that is, now you can imagine how much harder it is to get that job. Now, there's a couple of ways you could look at that. You could look at that and go, oh, yeah, screw this, man, and walk away from it and go become an accountant. Mm-hmm. Or you could look at it and go, but there are 32 jobs. Yeah. And someone's going to throw the football. yeah, someone's going to have to do it in a few years, so then why not you? And that really is the question, by the way. Why not you? Because, I don't know, maybe because I'm too short. Okay, so if you're too short, what can you do to offset that, to balance that out? You better get very good at scrambling then. And if you're like, well, I'm not very mobile, then you better have a very strong arm and be difficult to tackle, which means you need to spend more time in the weight room. In other words, you find out what your deficiencies in the gutter are, so that when you dream about the stars, you have a plan for how it is to overcome the things around you that get you there. But that's a lot of work, it's a lot of thinking, and this is why when I asked that question, how many of us would forsake comfort for meaning and purpose, I won't even wait for the answer, because that's something that's inside of you to ask yourself. And not just to ask yourself, but to play out every day. Yeah? And I wonder, I was going back to the thing about waking up at, I don't know, 5:30, some of you are waking up at 7:50. I wonder how many of you, if you woke up 45 minutes early and went for a run, I wonder how many of you guys have people around you, family, friends, especially family because they're living with you, and they would say, good on you, good. You're at a good age to do that, and you keep that for the rest of your life, man, you're going to have, that's going to do great benefits for you. I wonder how many of you will have family and friends around you, and again, especially families that live with you, who will say, why are you even doing that? Oh my God, that's crazy. I don't even know why you're doing that. And will shake their heads at you. You know? The first one's easy, of course, because you got people who are encouraging you, and it's easier for encouragement. But don't pray for an easy life, maybe. Maybe pray to become stronger, to overcome those things. Because, as I've said before, if you want to have a family someday, whatever habits you're instilling in yourself right now, because you can't wait for other people to instill habits for you, whatever habits you're instilling in yourself right now is going to create the life that you're bringing your children into someday. Whether you're bringing them here, whether you're bringing them to a different place, it's entirely on you at this point. Are you preparing yourself for a much better life, so that when your children are born, they're born into a better life? Or are you just going to wing it? And I know that most people, what do? They wing it. All we need is love. I'm going to be better than my parents. Do you understand your parents? Do you know why your parents are the way they are? Do you understand why they do what they do? No, but that's what allows me to believe I'm going to be better than my parents. It's like when I hear people say things like, I would never yell at my children. Oh, I want to wait till you have children. I want to see it happen. And a lot of times we sit there and a really ugly thing happens to us. We realize our parents weren't so bad. Maybe they knew some things. And then maybe that gives us something to aspire to. Maybe that's the star that we aim at. But whatever the star is that you're aiming at, make sure it's something that is outside of your reach. Something that's not likely but possible. And a weird thing might happen. You might reach it. There's going to be 32 quarterbacks. Someone's going to run Twitter. Someone's going to be the next Elon Musk. Someone's going to be the next fill in the blank of whatever it is. Why not you? Why not me? Because I'm too great. Now you're aware of your gutter. Now fix it. Fix yourself. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Tuesday. Yep. It's a wonderful Tuesday.